All right, so how you guys doing? This is Franklin Cruz. I'm a real estate developer with True Investors. And so we're going to be going into this podcast. We're going to be doing part 2 of the lessons that I learned when I was going through a very trying time in my life. And this was in 2020. This is a year into the separation of a divorce that took a 4-year-long divorce after a 15-year marriage. But at 40 years old, I had to restart everything. And there were some serious lessons that I learned during this time frame. So I'm going to go over that on this drive on actually a 9-acre parcel that we're working on, a 96-unit development that we just found out that for the next 3 years we cannot develop on our site on the 96 units, but we are allowed to, and we own this 4 acres in front of us as well, that we're not going to be able to develop the 96, but we can do is a semi-truck parking, and which is actually a really big deal. So we're going to drive in here, and I'm going to go over the lessons at the same time, just because we can. And how cool is it that we're only a mile away from downtown Lakeland, and now we're on a dirt road. So I think it's pretty cool. So let me go on here as well. I'm going to go over some of these lessons as we drive on this dirt road, which is pretty cool. And you're going to actually see all this is 9 acres of land. If you can't see this, that's fine. But if you could hear this, this is a 9-acre parcel that I purchased a couple years ago. I got it rezoned for 96 units. It's actually approved for affordable housing as well, that we got everything approved. We may not go that route. We may just put duplexes and keep the entire site. Keeps on going down, but we're going to turn over here. They had a water main bust. And when that busted, they actually had to fix everything on the site. So we're actually driving through it. Thank God this is a really good vehicle. And this is not my vehicle, because my vehicle, the back seat's messed up and it's got to be fixed next week, my Tesla. So I just thought it would be neat to drive over here and kind of like, when's the last time you actually drove a vehicle in 9 acres of land? I don't know. It's probably been a minute. So, and I really don't know if there's potholes, but, hopefully not. We're going to be okay. So we're going to see how far we can go with this. Awesome. All right. So then now going through these lessons as well. Remember I was discussing a smile, and what a smile can do is brighten up a room. What I've learned also too, just recently I went through a development networking meeting, right? And what you want to know is that if you're a real player, you're actually going to start meeting some of these other players in your area. The top brokers or yourself, you could start having these networking meetings, and you could start meeting other individuals. Like just at this party, I met the CEO of Margaritaville here in Lakeland, because they have a huge Margaritaville in Lakeland. And I also met usually you'll meet city officials as well. So in this meeting, I also met the mayor of Haines City was there, and the owners of a lot of different parcels and a lot of other commercial real estate in this networking meeting. So I would highly recommend be very strategic with your time. And if you're writing this down, write this one down. Be very strategic with your time on who you spend it with, and when you actually want to meet and greet with somebody, just because that does matter. So you do not just want to spend your time with just anybody, or just go to all these networking meetings and really all of you are newbies and none of you really know anything. And typically I like only going to meetings when I have something I want to offer, or I have some kind of knowledge that I'm looking for, right? So if I'm looking for a piece of knowledge, or I've got some real estate that I need a buyer for, or I've got some questions on, I always bring my iPad. Just like at this meeting, I brought my iPad. I showcased it to David. David's actually one of the commercial brokers that put this networking meeting together. And then I went over it with David, and he gave me some really great ideas. He said, look, man, this is what you need to do on this site. If you're going to be leasing it out to semi-trucks and just truck rentals, what they look for is, they want the gravel on the site, which I kind of already knew. But then you've got to get the site prepared. And then once you get the site prepared, they want to move forward. So all of that was at the meeting. And then David's like, look, you probably want to talk to the mayor of Haines City. And then he could probably steer you in the right direction as well. So all that came from being intentional. I wasn't there just to hang out. I was there because I wanted to meet certain people to get certain things complete. So for me also, I met the vice president of one of our banks, our local banks called South State. So then he was going over Ty, his name is Ty, and Ty was like, look, what you can do, Franklin, too, is, once you actually have them leased out, in about a year after you have it leased out, we can do what they call a DCR loan. And a DCR loan is what a DCR, just FYI, if you don't know what that means, it means debt coverage ratio. So if you do a DCR loan, we can actually do it, I believe he was saying 6 to 7% a refi, and we could do the refi up to 75%. And I was like, man, that's not bad. But remember, that all came from going to this networking meeting and being very strategic. I wasn't going there not having a deal. I didn't want to go there because, hey, I want to meet people. At the end of the day, I came there with an agenda of saying, look, if I'm going to go, and they call it actually they call it bourbon and whiskey meeting. One, never drink too much at these kind of meetings, just FYI, because it can get out of hand really fast, because whiskey is strong. So just FYI, if you're not a whiskey drinker or bourbon drinker, just drink water or drink Sprite. You look like you're fancy. Drink water inside of a wine glass, and you just look like, yeah, I got this. So just again, in this podcast, what we'll bring up, and in this episode is going to bring it up, going over these lessons, but also be strategic with your time. Don't go over there wasting other people's time saying, oh yeah, I could do this, I could do that, when you don't have anything that you can offer, right? Have something that you can actually offer somebody rather than just going over there to look good. The funny part too is, if you really want the trick to find out who's the true players in the game, typically the worst dressed person is the richest one in the room. So that's normally what I have found, is that person that's all dressed up to the nines. Sometimes people just like dressing up. Ain't nothing wrong with that at all, man. If you're that dude that just loves, having a great suit on and great shoes and everything else, fantastic. What I have found is, one, the older I get, the less I could care less about things. And I just want to always be comfortable. So for me, I always go, everywhere I go, I always wear my Wolverine boots that I've been having for 3.5 years. Same kind of jeans that I buy on Amazon Basics, because I could change them out every 2 months if I feel like it when they rip, because they normally only last about 3.5 months, but they're super comfortable. And then usually I just wear the same jacket or same shirt wherever I go, and that's it, because it's super comfortable. It has my brand, and I really, 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 really love our logo, because it's mixed in with a Frank Lloyd Wright structure and the American flag in the back. So I just love wearing it all the time. I don't believe in tattoos, but if I did, I would be wearing my logo as a tattoo. All right, let's keep on moving forward. David, you think I'm missing anything out of that?
Oh, that sounds good.
Okay, perfect. All right, so here's number 23. Listen to God on a daily basis, minimum 20 minutes a day. And what I mean by that, there is a difference between listening, and there's a difference between asking, or what I call begging. I personally am not a huge fan of the way the system is ran now, which is, and what I mean by that, like, if it's begging, it's saying, oh, can you please do this? Can you please do that? Look, whatever is happening to you at that time, just remember, everything is happening for you, not to you. So you have to look at everything that's going on is happening for a reason. What I've been doing, and I went through this huge mental shift, and I'll never forget the day. It was October 1st, 2018. And this is about 1.5 years after I was at Clever Investor for almost 4.5 years, created their department, and then one day Cody said that, hey, we're going to be moving on. Now, mind me, when I was at Clever Investor, I was making $500,000 a year. I created that much value, though. I was in charge of over 1,000 students in one calendar year. I hired everybody on the team. I created the student leadership program. I traveled 38 states in less than 18 months to see students on 2-day, what we called URCs, that's Ultimate Result Consulting. Then I created the workshops as well. And then we had student leaders come to what we called the Clever Labs. I mean, I was all in on what I was doing, and I loved it. Loved it, loved it, loved it. Still to this day, nothing negative. There's no slander on Cody at all. Amazing. He just had to go through some learning pains that he went. He actually recently sold the company, and it gave me the opportunity to learn a lot more about business. From there, I was actually the CEO at True Builders and True Plumbers, and that's actually where I came up with the name of True Investors. Was if you take off plumbers off of True, and then you take off clever off of investors, you merge them together like a baby, you come up with True Investors. And that's where I came up with it. I just wanted to give both of those companies honor for the time frame that I stayed with them. So what I learned was during that time frame, I needed to actually started to transform. So October 1st, 2018, that was the time. I said, no more. I'm not going to be the same person. I'm going to totally shift who I am and not be that old person. And it's time to shift. And this new person needs to actually, start meditating. Because what I read was the biggest billionaires in the world meditate. The biggest billionaires in the world take time to sit there and think, minimum 20 minutes a day, and think how can they actually solve problems. Because remember, the bigger the problem that you solve, that is the more value that you can give to the marketplace. The market is going to pay you back on the big problems that you solve. Developers, why are huge developers billionaires and make very good money? Because they're creating cities. So if you could solve a problem for a city, you will get compensated properly. Okay, that's just how it is. If you could solve problems for 1 million people and just make $1 from every person, and you're helping 1 million people every single month, you'll make $1 million every single month, right? This is just common sense. But to me, what I learned was when they meditate, when they actually sit down, they think about it, they actually hear from him rather than talk to him, amazing things happen. See, whenever you don't push it, a friend of mine, very wise friend, she always used to tell me, she said, never push a rope. And I'll say that again, never push a rope. And I love that because it was like, just don't push it. David, who's behind the camera right now, he wasn't seeking me out. I actually reached out to him because I saw the work that he was doing. So when you are ready to move up in the world, you'll move up. And when you're not ready, guess what? You can push that rope as much as you can. It ain't gonna move at all. So don't push the rope. Just keep getting better. You keep moving forward. Because if you don't, it's just not gonna work out for you, period. All right, so the next one. People will only move when you move. Look, if you're standing still and you're not improving in your own life and you're not moving forward and you're not making things happen, guess what? Then other people as well are not going to move as well. So it's just not going to happen. So you've got to actually be the one moving. So if you don't move, nobody else moves. If you move, people are moving because it's energy. Energy responds to energy, period. Sometimes you got to move slower too. Sometimes you want to move too fast. And I've been that way too, man. Sometimes I want to do way too many things. I want to do this. I don't want to do that. I wish I could have, why can't I have 4 successful companies at the same time? Look, man, I couldn't even get one going at the time for a long time. And so what I learned from there, and this is actually not in my notes, but I'll give it to you right now. Everybody wants multiple streams of income, but they haven't learned that a stream comes from a river. And from the river, streams come out of it. So if you don't even have your river working, how are you going to get multiple streams of revenue when you don't even have a river? And so remember, a river, and then you have streams, but get your river going first. Another one that I wrote as well. Kill your ego daily. If not, it will kill you. Period. So at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, you have to be able to kill your ego. Period. You have to be able to say, look, man, I don't know this. I want to learn this. I want to move forward with this. If you can't kill your ego, it's just not going to work at all. So you've got to be able to say, look, man, I don't know what I'm doing. I got to kill my ego. I got to grind and just learn this and just have no excuses behind it. Here's another one. When you're being pulled towards some person, make sure that your mind and heart, make sure it's with your mind and heart for the men out there, not your groin. So when you're being pulled by somebody, make sure it's your mind and your heart. Make sure it's not Mr. Pee-Pee over there, okay? So you've got to make sure, like, hey, why am I moving in this direction? What is it truly? You know, is it for other reasons? You know, men and women, you know, if you're listening to this, why is this going on? You know, and are truly, you know, is that person bringing value? What kind of value? You know, or is it just your midsection talking, right? You've actually got to think about that. Look, man, when you get older, man, you're going to see tons of opportunities if you're single, right? There's tons of opportunities out there, right? And even if you're not single, look, if you're a man, you still got eyes, right? You're going to see certain things. If you're a woman, sometimes somebody could woo you, right? But you still have to make that choice. Like, what is moving right now? So you've got to make that distinction and how to move forward with it. So hopefully that helps. Next one. Test God with realistic goals daily and watch him show off. So what I mean by that is just don't go through the testing. Well, I'm just going to test them, just like in a sense of you go to a mountaintop and then you just fall off of it and say, I'm testing God. No, it doesn't work that way, right? The way that it actually works is you keep on improving on what you're supposed to do. You keep on being egoless. You keep on moving forward in a positive direction. And then just watch what happens. Great things will happen if you keep on getting better at your craft, because people will start noticing. And you don't have to be the one that showcases it. Just like when I was on the front page of a newspaper dealing with my development. As much as I wanted to seek that out, as much as I wanted to actually move in that direction and do a press release and see if they'll catch a story, probably I could have. And you know what would have happened? I probably would have got on the news. But I'm pretty sure I would have never gotten on the front page of the newspaper, a full page article, and then an article on the third page as well. Like, I'm pretty sure that probably would have never happened because it happened organically. I wasn't shooting for it. It happened organic. Or the street name being named after my family. I could have probably made the request to Kim Lee Horn, the civil engineer, but it happened organically. I didn't do that. It just happened organically. So that's how things work. You want to be known for the work that you're doing. You don't want to be known for you pushing the work on other people, because sometimes, to be honest, man, your work probably sucks, dude. Like, you're probably just not there yet. Your work you're not there. You know, at the end of the day, like David, who's the camera guy right now, 2 years ago was his work there. He just started off doing it. 2 years after, and he got really good at it, and I noticed it, I reached out to him. Same thing, I've had people reach out to me on development deals. I'm a part of a huge development deal, multi-million-dollar profitable development deal. They chose me to be a part of it. They chose me. They called me and said, hey, Franklin, we want you to be a part of this deal. I got paid $150,000 on that deal plus 50% of the revenue. And it's a huge deal, right, that we're still working on to the day. Other deals as well, I was the one that was brought on board. There's another deal we're doing 96 units multifamily on the MLK deal. We just got an LOI for 1.6 million. We're not into it for 1.6. Okay, it's a big spread. And I'm making it a win-win. So you have to figure, I got brought into that deal. They didn't even know what to do with it. Let what you do in practice, I always tell my son this as well in basketball. It's like what you do in practice will be highlighted in the game. Period. What you do in practice will be highlighted in the game. As a developer or as a true investor, what you do in silence, what you do when dealing with sellers and helping them with their problems, it will be highlighted. It just may not be highlighted when you want, but I promise you it will be highlighted in the perfect time frame that you didn't even think about at all. So, next one. Listen and stillness equals wisdom. So whenever you listen and you're just still, wisdom will come to you. you'll start figuring out what to do and how to do it. You just got to have wisdom, period. And remember, wisdom is the key. Look, if King Solomon, if literally that's what he asked for was wisdom, and then even God in his vision said, because you didn't ask for riches or wealth or killing your enemies, that you only ask for wisdom to lead your people, I will give you all of it. Look, when he said that, that's a big deal. Just think about that. He said, I will give you all of it. And he gave him, he was the richest person ever lived because he was wise with it, period. So just like right now, you know what? We're going to be a lot wiser holding the camera. So we're going to probably have a gimbal in the car because right now David is working out like crazy because he has this heavy, small rig in his hand. So now we're asking for wisdom, and it's going to be coming after this, right? So you always have to look at like, what wisdom can I gain? If King Solomon was here, what would King Solomon say to me right now? You can ask for wisdom. You can say, hey, ask for wisdom and be silent, and it will come. You just watch. Just watch. All right, next one. This is a big one, and I don't really think everybody will do it, but you got to just do it. It is what it is. You have to love delayed gratification. It's a tough pill to swallow, but you're going to have to love it. You're going to have to love delayed gratification. And that's even with your soulmate, even with your spouse or with whoever you're with your partner. Like, if you know you're putting in the work, eventually it will pay off, but you know in your gut if you're the one putting in the work or not, because you're going to have to love delayed gratification. You're going to have to smell delayed gratification like filet mignon, right? Like, it's just going to be delayed, especially if you're choosing real estate and you're choosing real estate development or being a true investor. Like, you're going to have to love it. You know why? Most real estate transactions, the good ones and the most profitable ones, take anywhere from 2 to 4 months to 6 months to be profitable on a house deal. If you're doing a rehab or something like that, or you're doing a creative deal, sometimes it takes time between closing, title, rehab, fixing the property, putting it back on the market. Then somebody else has to get a mortgage. Like, all this can take time, right? New construction, that could take 6 months to a year, if not more, right? Development could take years. It's normal. 1 year for approvals and entitlements, another year just to get the horizontal, another year for going vertical, right? All of that takes time. So if you don't love delayed gratification and you can't fall in love with it, I just promise you this business is not for you at all. You're going to have, if you need that dopamine check all the time, it just won't work. All right, next one. So read more, reading more and equal more time taking action. So what I mean by that is, if you read more and you use the exact same time that you're reading, studying, and then you're taking massive action. So it's kind of like you're reading and taking action. So you're reading and taking action. You're going to start learning through this process a lot faster. And that's what it's all about. Because the earth-shattering breakthroughs come from you taking action. But if you want something that is massive, that earth-shattering, you've got to mix in your wisdom that you're learning. You got to mix it in with action. And then you got to mix it in also with delayed gratification. If you could mix all those up, you're always going to have these amazing breakthroughs. But you have to be committed and not attached. Meaning, you have to be committed that an amazing result is going to happen. You can't be attached that that's going to happen when you want it to happen. So you can't be attached. Like, if I really wanted to push and do these videos and podcasts and everything else, like I attempted to do with my own self, man, I was not really committed. I was like, I'm doing my own business. And then their opportunity came, and I was like, man, I wish there was somebody who's already has experience, who is local. I need somebody to come over here, and that we can work through this and we could build this together, and somebody who's their word and somebody who loves what they do and video editing and putting out these messages to the world. And then we could work together for improvement and have no ego, right? And then that person came, right? And then multiple people will start coming and people we're going to start interviewing and bringing in and really just bringing out the best real estate content that we could possibly give that is anywhere online, that is truly in the trenches doing it, not just talking about it as well. And there's great investors out there, right? I haven't met too many like me per se, but it's amazing because everybody can reach a different audience, and that's fine. I'm attempting to reach my audience with my background and my experiences. So hopefully this is making sense. All right, so now we're going to go to the next one as well. Quiet time is actually where the party starts. So some people love, if you're going to get into development and real estate as well, just consider there is going to be a lot of time that you're going to be alone. A ton of time. There's so much time that you're just going to be alone. That you're not going to have anybody there, nobody else is around. It's just going to be you, and you got to kind of think through your thoughts and your projects and what you're working on. Period. So just get used to it. Because if you can't handle that, this business is just going to be very difficult for you. Because sometimes you got to sit there and analyze a deal and analyze, like, is this going to work? And make certain phone calls and write down your thoughts on, like, how can I make this work? What's what I call fast, slow, creative solution? What are some different options that I have on this? What are different things that I can make happen on this? Who else can I bring in on this deal? How can I make it a win-win for them? If I don't have the knowledge on a deal, do I have a deal? Right? That's the other thing. Or am I talking about getting a deal, but I really don't even have a deal as well? Like, these are all things that come up that you are going to need to think about during silent time as well. So next thing as well. I love this saying. It's called happiness. Like, true happiness is just minus expectations. If you take away all expectations, that is actually true happiness. Just have no expectations. Have none. And you'll always be happy because you have no expectations. So you have no expectations, everything is awesome. Because you have no expectations. You're like, all right, great. Let's see how this rides. I have no expectations. That's what you want. So happiness is truly just minus expectations. Just take it out of your life. Other things what I learned as well. During this process when I was going through just a lot of items in my life, and this really, it still is very prevalent to today. Friends and family care to a point. So if you're going through some serious things in your life and you're just like, how is this going to work? How am I going to make it work? And then you keep going through some issues in your life, as almost like the story of Job. Even your family to a point, even your friends to a point will be there for you. To a point, and then they won't. Because at the end of the day, they still have their own lives. They'll get in there to kind of like see what's going on, and I call it what I call like the Law and Order, right? Everybody loves the beginning of the next episode, but do you really want to keep watching and then being a part of it? Sometimes you just want to watch from afar, but do you really want to be a part of the episode? The answer is no. And if you ever go through a separation, then you're going to have to also learn that the other family that was your family for years, that may not be your family anymore. And that's okay. You're just going to have to go through a transition. I look at it as simply as when I was in 5th grade transferring from Steffner Elementary to Williams Junior High, I never forgot that the friends that I had at Steffner, a lot of them were not my same friends at Williams. Williams, I got moved to a different district, very inner city district compared to a very suburbia area with Steffner Elementary. And a lot of these kids were not there, right? So what I learned was everybody in your life is there for a season. You know, you're not going to have, if you think about it, do you still have the same friends that you had when you were in high school? You still have the same friends when you're in elementary? You may know one, but you're probably not. And then that even transitions in your business life. Early in your business life, you may have certain individuals, then later on, it may transition. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just, that's life. You're just going to go through transitions. And super successful friends that you may have one day, look, they're busy. They're busy being successful. So that's why I said before, you got to be okay with being alone. You got to be okay with like, hey, it's just you. And if you don't have that, if you've got an issue with that, just remember, you're going to have a hard time with this as well. Here's another one as well. Now, this is something that's just, again, this is something I wrote. Death is easier than divorce. Look, if you ever went through a divorce, I just hate to tell you, and you know what I mean. To me, I've went through both extremes. To me, death was 10 times easier. The death of my mom, even though it was super hard, was 10 times easier than divorce. And the main reason why is death, you never have to see that person again. Like, there's reminders, but not physical reminders. Divorce, for some reason, it's interesting. You just feel almost like you have to see that person still move on with their life with somebody else, and it's tough. It's tough. If you've never been through it, hey man, it's really, really difficult, and it's not simple. So I will tell you, if you're listening to this, or if you're watching this, like, it will get better, and you will get better. It just may not be in the time frame that you're thinking, but it will happen. Period. And again, it's not supposed to be simple, but the thing is, look, every great origin story, every amazing origin story, every amazing superhero origin story started off with something like what you're going through now. That's what you have in common with that person. You know, Iron Man, Batman lost both of his parents the same night in front of him, right? Iron Man lost his father, and then he had a big chip on his shoulder. The Hulk just lost everybody because he just had, he just couldn't control himself, right? Wonder Woman had to leave the island that she was from to pursue different dreams and different aspirations. Green Lantern as well. Like, all these, if you can't tell, I'm a comic nerd, right? Like, everybody was going through something as well. Death is easier than divorce. Yes, it's 100% easier, as I stated before, because in a death, the person, like, you're never going to see that person again, and you're just like, it is what it is. On a divorce, you are going to hear about that person. You're going to, you're just going to see that person kind of move on without you, and it's kind of a weird stance, just because you almost feel like you're almost like in a different, it's almost like you're behind a mirror, and they're moving on and you're moving on too, but it's just a weird dynamic, the whole entire thing. And it all matters too. Like, I had a 4-year-long divorce, so it wasn't as simple as I wanted it to be. I personally just said, you can have whatever, I just want to move on. But if you live in America, divorce takes 2 people. So if the other person doesn't want to do that, they could ride it out for as long as possible. So it is what it is. Another item as well, going into it. An idea with no action is a wish. So an idea with no action is a wish. So you probably got plenty of ideas. Plenty of stuff that comes up for you. Plenty of things that are in your head. Plenty of stuff. But an idea with no action, man, is just that. A wish. So stop wishing, take action. Next one. Your body never lies, so why are you? So what I mean by that is, if you're having a hard time moving, and in development and as an investor, especially as a true investor, like, look, you have to be mobile, man. Like, you've already seen, I'm getting out of the car, I'm moving around, like, and I'm not, and my girlfriend always reminds me of this, is like, I'm not 20. So I'm 45 years old. I personally feel extremely healthy. I feel great, but I have to be mindful as well. So think about what you're putting in your body. Think about every day moving a little bit. You don't want to be one of those ones that are having a hard time getting out of the car. Like, you're just going to it's not going to be good for you at all. So don't lie to yourself about your body. Start taking care of it now. Just start taking action. Even if I was just talking to a client this morning, we're buying one of her homes, and she's like, I asked this guy to wash the car, and he hasn't washed the car yet. I said, why don't you just make it a workout and just put a timer on? Hey, for 10 minutes, I'm just going to move and take things out of the car for 10 minutes and start cleaning. And then if you have a hard time breathing, because she's a lot older, sit down for an hour, sit down for 2 hours, and then do another 10 minutes. And then get up and then do your best to clean your own car. It may take you 6 hours, but at least you're doing something, right? All right, next one. Here's a great one. I like this one. Be better than your last minute. Be better than your last minute. So just if you're constantly thinking about how can I be better, it's inevitable that things are going to happen to you in a positive direction, that you're going to get better. But be better than your last minute. Not that your last day, just always have the mentality of how can I get better? How can I do this better? How can I be more efficient? You know, I'm constantly thinking that. Is just like, how can I be more efficient? And yeah, and there's no definition of saying an extreme to it. Just you do you. If you love just improving yourself and getting better, then just do the best that you can. And you'll get better through time. That's it. It'll take time, but you'll get better. All right, here's another one. Don't attempt to figure things out. Figure them out. Let them figure that, or you could let them figure it out for themselves, which is, like I said before, don't push a rope. So to me, attempting and trying is like one or two different things, but it's like, don't just do it. Just keep doing it. Find help for it. Like, solve that problem and move on. Here's another one as well. Oh yeah. You don't learn anything, you discover it. So there's learning and discovery. It's kind of like riding a bike. You could read all day long you want. You could read every single day that about learning how to ride a bike. But until you get on the bicycle and discover balance, you're never going to have balance. You can't read your way into balance. You actually have to get on the bike and ride it. And you're going to fall. And you're going to fall hard a couple times. And you're going to fall harder when you go faster. And then it's just a part of it. But the faster that you gain balance, the faster you can get really good at it. So hopefully that helps somebody as well. Another one is level up or level out. To me, I'm like, if you're not improving, then what the hell are you doing? Just get out of the game, man. It's like, I don't understand why you're even playing. That doesn't make any sense to me. And then the last one. Respect wisdom from someone as God himself is talking to you in a human format. Because he is. I always look at words of wisdom of just like, you know what? Probably that's somebody talking to me from a higher level. And you'll choose if that's proper wisdom for you at the time or not. So hopefully you guys got a ton of lessons out of these. All the lessons that went over. I know it was like a 2-part series in this podcast, in this video, and everything else that you're listening to. If you got something out of it, or you probably want to add something onto it, or whatever your favorite one is, do me a favor, drop a comment, tell me what your favorite one was. Like and share it if you can as well. If you really got something out of it, share it with the person that they could probably use this. Share it with somebody that says, look, man, this is powerful for me, and I think could be powerful for you. And really just keep on moving this conversation forward. My goal is through this of documenting what's going on in real time and kind of the journey that I'm on. And you guys have already, if you've listened to other podcasts and other videos, you'll see like I'm really in this game, and deals are coming to me that I'm actually not really even working for it. You know, just recently I just got on the phone, my attorney's calling me with a deal, and I wasn't looking for the deal came to me. So I think when you keep on elevating your skills in this game as a true investor and true developer, people will know that and they'll come up to you. So again, hopefully you're blessed through this. And if you see me on social media too, share whatever you can. Anything else, David, you think we're missing?
Solid.
All right, perfect. We're done. Bye.